This simply cannot be ignored. The person who is supposed to be in charge of the United States of America, President Donald Trump, just suffered his most severe mental health collapse that we have seen so far, and this is becoming a near daily, regularly occurrence. Donald Trump is up throughout the entire night, tweeting 50 plus times an hour, mostly about President Obama, saying Obama is a traitor and that we should arrest Obama, that Obama enriched himself to the tune of over $100 million while president by stealing money from the Affordable Care Act. This sick and disgusting whale needs to be physically removed from the White House. He should not be in the Oval Office. He belongs in an insane asylum, and it is disgusting that people continue to normalize this freak. I won't even show you these tweets because his failing fake social platform doesn't deserve any more attention. It's an abomination that this man somehow has the keys to the nuclear codes, and he needs to be removed now.
We can't have a normal Saturday with Trump as president. He has cracked, and you need to see it. He'd been quiet most of the day, but then he started posting this. Drones dropping like butterflies, alluding to the post he did the other day. Bye-bye drones. Oh, but wait, there's so much more. Went on to attack J.B. Pritzker for eating the same thing that Donald Trump eats every single day. Come on, Big Macs, do your thing. Then he posted 7 pictures of his golf course in a row. The same 7 pictures except for the very last one. What? This one here, Obama and Biden, Donald Trump. I guess he forgot that there was a Donald Trump in between Obama's presidency and Joe Biden's presidency. He didn't do that then, and he didn't do it now either. Iran still has a navy. Well, maybe not in his video game where he's playing master and commander of the Strait of Hormuz. This is not normal behavior, and the media needs to start calling this out, just like they would call out every time Joe Biden mispronounced a word.
I'm a little disgusted, and I think you should be too. This is what the Republican nominee for President of the United States had to say about depression.
You know the best way to stop depression? Work your ass off. Work your ass off. You don't have time. You want to work so hard that you don't have time for depression.
This is gross on so many levels. Number one, depression, it's a serious disorder, not something you should joke about. It's something Americans have to deal with every day and something that causes pain and losses among friends and family. And it's a pain Americans often can't do anything about because of medical costs. Number two, work does not cure or prevent depression. In fact, it worsens it, according to many reports. And yet, many Americans still have to work 2 jobs because for some reason, federal minimum wage still just above $7. And it's a condition that American children could soon start experiencing too, thanks to the Trump administration's reckless pandering to billionaires. And number 3, should Trump really be talking about hard work when he spent a quarter of his mandate putting little balls into little holes? Do you think that somebody who's so out of touch with reality can care about anybody but himself? And most importantly, do you think that the lack of care and compassion is worth this level of danger just because you're uncomfortable at a pride parade?
Donald Trump is severely mentally ill. He is a danger to himself and certainly to all of us. And the mental health community and certainly the mainstream media is not doing nearly enough, if really anything at all, to warn us, to inform us all about it. Donald Trump is desperate to have his face on new passports for a while, to have his face draped off of government buildings, to have his face on these memorable coins that reporting suggests are going to be plastered all over the West Wing. He is desperate to have his signature on U.S. currency. He is desperate to build all of these giant monuments all over Washington, D.C. in his name. He is desperate to rebuild the White House in his image. These are not the behaviors of a normal person. There was reporting today in The Atlantic that he compares himself to Napoleon and Alexander the Great and other infamous or famous world leaders. This is not a normal person. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, maybe it's because the media is afraid of him, maybe it's because they don't want to lose access to him, but the media does not cover his insanity. And unfortunately, as incredible as the mental health community is, we all need them. They have done a remarkable job destigmatizing mental illness over the last 20 years. And I think we can all be thankful for the tireless people that provide us mental health services so that we could be as well as we can. Still, when it comes to warning everybody about this lunatic that we are currently dealing with, who is the President of the United States, with few exceptions, the mental health community has been completely silent about it. And the danger is too great. It's time to step up, and it's time to speak out. It's time that we see mental health professionals being interviewed by media personalities every single day. Independent media is doing it. We need legacy media to jump on board too.
Is Trump a narcissist? A psychiatrist reacts. Is Donald Trump a narcissist? Let's talk facts, not feelings. During his previous term as president, a group of psychiatrists publicly claimed that he was mentally unstable and unfit to serve. But in doing so, they violated what's known as the Goldwater Rule, a core ethical principle in American psychiatry. The Goldwater Rule prohibits psychiatrists from diagnosing public figures at a distance, especially without a formal clinical assessment. But these psychiatrists argued that remaining silent would have been more unethical, given what they believed was dangerous behavior. Professor Alan Francis, the psychiatrist who literally wrote the criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, responded publicly. He said, Trump may be a world-class narcissist, but that doesn't make him mentally ill. Why? Because Trump doesn't show the distress or impairment required for a formal diagnosis. Dr. Cameron Ahmed, a consultant psychiatrist in Sydney, agrees. Trump displays multiple narcissistic traits: grandiosity, entitlement, obsession with power, and admiration. But again, without distress or impairment, it's not a diagnosable disorder. His policies may have caused enormous suffering, like the forced separation of children from their parents at the US border. That's unconscionable, but unethical policy doesn't mean he has a psychiatric illness. As Professor Francis said, the solution to the Trump problem isn't psychological, it's political. So is Trump a narcissist? Maybe. Does he have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder? Not by psychiatric standards. Follow for more mental health breakdowns. Protect your minds and protect your hearts. And bye for now.
Donald Trump right now is in the midst of a historic meltdown on Truth Social. As Aaron Rupar says, over the last hour, it is so completely batshit insane what this guy is posting. It would literally take me minutes to show you everything he's posted in just the last few hours, so let's just look at a few highlights. We're starting off with a little casual white supremacy. 30 seconds later, he compares himself to George Washington. To be outdone by that, he posts an image of himself on Mount Rushmore. Also is now floating the idea of a drone port on top of the White House ballroom. Trump has made dozens and dozens of posts in just the last few hours. I am actually fully convinced that he is losing his marbles. He knows that he is as unpopular as ever, and he is just trying to post through it, whether that is putting his face up on Mount Rushmore or on the $250 bill that they want to do. It is just genuinely pathetic, and the crash out and the meltdown is very, very real.
So the president hasn't actually been seen publicly for 6 days. And this is at the first of the month. He typically goes through this cycle now where he appears to get some sort of treatment, probably the IV diuretics, and then he disappears for a couple of days. This is the longest stretch that we've seen him publicly disengage. So I think what's going on is he's getting IV diuretics. It's pulling all the excess fluid off of his system really fast, making him really weak. And as they're doing IV diuretics, they're also trying to replace the electrolytes that he loses in the process of doing the IV diuresis. But he's taking this long to bounce back because it's starting to not work anymore. which means most likely his kidneys are starting to fail. When you get nephrotoxicity from diuresis, using diuretics, whether IV or oral, you're fucked. Your kidneys.
So it's really interesting when you hear Donald Trump speak, right? Because every time he speaks to the public, his narcissism just radiates through the screen, and nobody really picks up on what that term means, because people think, oh, narcissist, he's kind of full of himself. No, it's a deep-seated psychological disorder that this man has. So when he's constantly talking about like Washington DC being disgusting and filthy and gross, and the reflecting pool being disgusting and putrid, he uses all these really strong negative words, and what he's doing is he's projecting and deflecting how he really feels about himself. This guy walks around every day, I guarantee you, in his subconscious, feeling disgusted with himself. He hates himself. So he's got to get it out on someone, on something. The reporters, oh, you're so dumb, you're such an idiot, you're so stupid. He's really talking to himself. He's trying to get it out of himself and onto other people, because he carries this around all the time. And that's why everything for him is about looks and trying to cover this stuff up. So he's got to put gold everywhere, and he's got to build columns, and he's got to build archways, and he has to build these big, beautiful, opulent things to his name to cover up the absolute shame and disgust that he has buried in his soul. And unfortunately, this guy was probably stuck with this since he was a kid. Fred and his mom just jacked him up, and he never survived, probably past 7, 8 years old. He's been stuck like this ever since. He's 80 years old now. Maybe there was a time in his life when he went bankrupt, when he lost everything, where he could have had some kind of an awakening, some kind of a change in his life, but no. For him, it's all about cheating at golf courses, to be called the best golfer in his category, even though he doesn't practice. Just follow what this man does, and you'll see the personality disorder just reek out of every orifice of his body.
So I just read a very disturbing long-form article about what's been going on with Donald Trump and his breakdown of mental ability in the Wall Street Journal during the Iran war. Let's go through some of the more disturbing lowlights, if you will. First off, he was about to grant himself a Congressional Medal of Honor, or tried to. If you don't know what that is the military's highest award for valor in combat. It's for guys who jump on a grenade to save their buddies, and often those people die, obviously. He's not eligible for it. He's a draft dodger. And this is something that he, even considering, just shows a complete detachment from all reality whatsoever. Secondly, the military has been trying to keep him out of, various situation rooms, command centers, operational details, because he's so nuts and he talks so much and he interferes that they consider him a risk to operational security. Now think about that the military wants to cut him off from things that are happening because he is too dangerous. Not good either. Finally, as I suspected, everything he's been doing with these threats of war crimes, mocking Islam in that Easter post where he said, praise be to Allah, his cursing, that's totally him just making up stuff that he thinks is going to convince the Iranian regime. There's no national security strategy behind it. He's not talking to psychologists or expert in, Iranian culture. He's just deciding, as someone with no knowledge, background, or experience in psychological warfare or anything like that, that he's going to be doing these things. This is dangerous. He's unhinged. We need to get out of this war.
Donald Trump doesn't have much time left on this planet. And if you're like me, you've been highly anticipating that day. But I think a lot of people say they're ready. They're not really ready. So I've been taking this upon myself to serve as a PSA that you need to make sure you have your affairs in order. We've talked about the playlist. Now it's time to talk about what is in your cup the moment you hear it. Are you grabbing for a dusty bottle of bourbon that you've had on the back shelf, waiting for such an occasion? Maybe it's a beautiful vintage year of wine that you have ready to uncork. Maybe it's champagne that's been in the fridge on ice this entire time. Maybe it's not even alcoholic at all. It doesn't matter. I just need you to know that when it happens, you don't have time to run out and get it. You need to get that special splurge purchase right now. Have it ready so that as soon as you hear the news, you can pull yourself the biggest drink in the world, because we are going to take a collective sigh of relief across this entire planet. I need you to be ready. I need you to have that bottle near because the day is near itself.
Trump is currently following the blueprint of Brazil for how they're looking to demonize mental health and who's benefiting. The former president essentially attacked psychiatry and kind of like moved everything from community-based into exactly what Trump's doing, saying like, let's institutionalize people, let's do asylums, let's close the hospital. What he did was he defunded a lot of the community centers, just like Trump is doing with the big beautiful bill where we are defunding Medicaid. We're going to close down all of the community centers by that. Like, it's inevitable. We have an executive order that already came out quite a while ago saying like it's okay to institutionalize people, kind of broadening the law there. Now, what Trump has talked a lot about in a lot of these executive orders and Make America Healthy Again has talked about is that we need more religious facilities and more religious involvement for mental health. This is exactly what Brazil did too. They moved people into these private religious type of facilities, residential care. They talked about mental health as being like leftist and anti-family. There's a massive demonization that went towards it. What happened was that the suicide rate escalated. People got pushed into prisons. They made a lot of money off of this. Inspections found at all of these religious facilities that they pushed people into in asylums, there were mass abuses, torture, sexual abuse, violence, forced labor, forced conversions, a lot of conversion therapy to gay people. This is exactly where Trump is going. Like, we've already kind of set the stage for this. We're demonizing psychiatry now. So we're already like looking at pushing people into religious institutions. So the next thing that's going to happen, we're going to see pop-ups of more religious asylum, residential care. Like, these are the wellness camps they were talking about, right? Like, this will be kind of touted out as like religious, family-oriented care. Maybe they'll even name it like a tapering thing. I don't know. And guaranteed it's going to have like conversion therapy in there. We've already legalized conversion therapy in Colorado, and this is thought to be done now in other states. They're looking at pushing the same thing. Like, there is no question that this is moving in the same direction where they're looking at like, let's shut down the hospitals, let's shut down the therapy, let's shut down all of it. Let's just move people into institutions. Yeah, there's a lot of implications here.
You've survived narcissistic abuse. You already know exactly what Trump's Truth Social post was all about. And I want to say this and make it very clear. Just because you are not in Iran and you are not experiencing exactly what Trump is threatening, it doesn't mean that you're not feeling this on a nervous system level, on a personal, like, empathetic level, if not a level in which you have already learned what it feels like to endure this level of narcissistic abuse, coercive control, dominance, and threatening your life and your access to what you need to live. So it's not you like making it about you. It's not you, projecting. This is you, reliving and maybe being activated by something that you've already experienced. You've already learned what this is like. And now you're re-experiencing it on a wild global scale, while also really caring about the people that are being impacted, because again, you've felt this before and you really care. So you're dysregulated on your own level, with your own history and your own activation, but also because you're having an empathetic response to the people this is going to impact. So this is a lot. This is heavy per usual. So I just want to offer you some naming, some language. Like, you are activated and maybe you're not triggered, but you're calibrated. You've experienced this before and it feels the same. You've gotten a text that looked almost probably exactly like the one that Trump posted on Truth Social today. It just happened to be directed at you and maybe more personal things like your housing, access to something important to you, transportation, right? Like, he's threatening to basically cut them off even more than he already has from everything, and do so violently and then publicly and try to humiliate them, even though like this is really embarrassing for him, honestly. You recognize this pattern and it feels like it.
A news report from UK said that people around Trump are struggling to ring him in, and his mental state is starting to be questioned more openly. This concern is no longer just regular criticisms. Has been discussed broadly in his inner circle. The report also says that Trump is becoming harder for advisors to control, and that his recent behavior is being seen as some observers as more impulsive and less predictable. I mean, he's 80 years old. We have a saying in China, when people get old, they act more like a child. So right now, he's more basically a toddler. And he wears diapers too, I believe. Reuters also reported that The conflict with Iran is starting to test the unity inside the MAGA movement, which with some supporters warning that escalation could hurt the Republicans and clash with Trump's early anti-war message. Well, it is already like that. He makes empty promises. People should have known that for a long time ago. It's all empty promises just to get your vote. Even some Republicans, like Majority Taylor Greene, has questioned Trump's mental state while criticizing his decision-making on Iran. Or maybe Israel has something on Trump, and Trump has to make decisions aligned with Israel's interests. Netanyahu definitely has some leverage over Trump, probably something personally. More contents on Substack, free to subscribe, link in bio. Thank you guys.
We have to talk about something serious. Trump just pulled $11.4 billion in federal funding for addiction and mental health care. You heard that right. Gone. Just like that. And this was part of a March 2025 executive order that slashed grants for states that help people with substance abuse and mental health treatment. I myself am in therapy, and I live in Kentucky. And I don't know if you heard about Kentucky, but Kentucky has a serious addiction and mental health problem. But here's the kicker. This might actually violate the Constitution. Surprise, right? Article 1, Section 9 says no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. And what that means is only Congress gets to decide how that money is spent, not the president. And these funds were already appropriated by Congress under the Mental Health Block Grant and the Opioid Response Grant programs. Trump's order tries to bypass Congress and override laws already passed, and it violates the powers laid out in the Constitution. This isn't about politics and, states should be able to fund it themselves. No, it's not about that at all. It's about checks and balances, and real lives are at risk because of these political dog whistle moves. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Should a president be allowed to cancel funding that Congress already allocated? No, I don't think.
A reporter just asked Donald Trump if he should have his mental health examined right to his face in an unbelievable moment. Now, this was today during the White House press briefing where Donald Trump was giving updates to the Iran war. And oftentimes Trump defended his position by saying he's dealing with crazy and mentally unstable people in Iran. Well, a reporter had heard enough when he asked Trump this.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues? I haven't heard that.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful, and we need more of this. Now, it should be noted, Donald Trump went on to say that he hadn't heard it and that there should be more people like him because he's so smart. He solved so many problems, even though it's the exact opposite. Everything has gotten worse under his presidency. But we need more of this from reporters. It can't just be foreign reporters that are willing to stand up to our politicians. We need our reporters willing to do it, to call Donald Trump out on his lies and not let him, if one reporter does it and he just dismisses them, the next reporter should follow up. They're supposed to hold truth to power, not just let nonsense pass. That was unbelievable.
Trump's latest executive order should scare everybody. His new executive order makes it legal to be institutionalized if you are determined to be mentally ill. And unsurprisingly, that is such a broad term that could apply to just about everyone. Remember how just recently there was a bill put forth to validate Trump derangement syndrome? Unsurprisingly, queer and trans people should be concerned because this administration has made it abundantly clear that they feel that trans people are mentally ill. So under this new executive order, if trans people are determined to be mentally ill, they can be forcibly institutionalized. And this is what we warned everybody about by reading Project 2025. We knew this was coming, and now it's here.